はい、皆さん、こんにちは。私のチャンネルへようこそ。Hello and welcome to my channel. Also, welcome to our lovely Hanami picnic. 何食べますか?
Squid. I'm eating squid.
Okay.
Stinky squid.
Okay. Anyway, this is our Hanami, beautiful time of year. And today I'm joined by my lovely friends, and we're going to talk about life in Japan, Japanese culture, and whatever else pops up. So, would you like to introduce yourselves firstly?
My name's Torgan. I was actually on an earlier episode. I'm glad to be back and is celebrating this wonderful time of year where we get to watch the cherry blossoms. Very beautiful.
My name is Vu. I'm from Vietnam and I've been living in Japan for a while. This is my first time on this YouTube channel. Yeah, it's great.
Good. Thank you very much. So today I'd like to ask you about your time in Japan. How long have you been here, firstly, and why did you come to Japan?
Okay, so I've been in Japan for 15 years. It's a freaking long time, is it? I came here because I thought it would be a cool thing to do. Like when everybody was going to the West in Vietnam, like everybody said, oh, I want to go to America, I want to go to Europe. I was like, I'm going to go the opposite way. I'm going to the East. Tokyo it is. It's not Tokyo, it's Beppu, so it's a very like countryside thing kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, Beppu Onsen.
Yeah, right. So like, I thought it was going there and was like, oh, no Vietnamese, no anyone. Like I'm just living with old people in Japan. No, it's not true. We have 200 Vietnamese people in Beppu. So.
Wow. Why did you go to Beppu?
There's a college there, and I got the scholarship, and I got there. It was fun. It was actually more fun than I expected. It's great.
But 15 years, that's a long time.
Yeah. Shut up. Anyway, so like I didn't really expect myself to be this long, but you know, like when you're here, you the thing I like about Japan is like you do not have to experience it like all at once. You have to like just take it in one at a time. Like today you find this, the next day you find another thing. I was like, oh, it's just like an onion. You just like peel off the skin every day, and I was like, oh, there's another layer to that, and you just feel like, that's fun. Again, it is an onion, so sometimes it's so like pungent. It's like you feel like that. But the next layer is like, oh, it's sweet again, and it's like of all the layers you have there, you feel like you're enjoying it more than you expected, and that's why I'm sticking here longer than I thought.
That's so true. You know,
Yeah.
some layers are kind of like difficult to deal with,
Yeah.
and other layers are really like lovely. What's the greatest experience you've had living here?
I think my greatest experience kind of repeats itself somehow of the kindness of people in here. So the first time I came to Japan, I was trying to find the way to Beppu Koen. And I was just like, with my like very limited Japanese at that time, this lady was like, just go straight and turn this and right. It's like, it was all mushy in my mind. But then it was like, okay, I just walk that way, just towards that direction, right? I was walking for like 5 minutes. And then she got home, she took her bike out, and she rushed after me, and she was like, I want to show you the way to the park. So she took me all the way to the park, like that.
I mean, that kind of kindness, like as a foreigner, you just do not forget.
Yeah.
And
And it's like, it's not just that time, like, but probably that's because this is the first time you experienced it, so you feel like that's the thing that sticks to you the most. I think it's great, like the kindness of everyone, like, great.
For sure. Yeah. Thank you. Torgan, did you have an experience, or at least what is your best experience being in Japan?
Okay, I'm not going to say this is the best. I've had a lot of really good experiences, but one of them was I went to Odawara with my sister, and we went to, there's like an ocean, and we were having fun there. We just relaxed and watched the sunset. And then we were coming back, we went to this cafe, and we got coffee, and it was nice. And as we're leaving, they chased us after us, and we're like, here, take these Mekon, take them with you, go, go, go. And it was like, that's sweet. Like, you know, they were just doing it to be kind, and they thought I would like it, so they gave it to me, and that always feels good when someone's doing something not out of a business motive, but out of a motive to make you feel good just as a person. So that was special for me. I, again, don't know that's the best experience, but it's certainly a really nice experience.
The community part of it, right?
Wow.
The aspect of a community where they just take care of each other just out of, the kindness of their heart rather than, like for any kind of benefit.
I think Japan's really good at finding the special in things. Japan's really good about being like, you're like, oh, I'm going to this place. Like, oh, you have to eat this and you have to see that. They just know, like, even if you've never been there, you just watch TV or you've heard, like, this is the special thing in that area. So they have they're really good at finding the thing they're excited about. Even, like here in Tokyo, for example, they'll be like, oh, you have to, like, go to Meiji Jingu. It's really special. You'll feel really good. And it's like, that's really nice to have. There's always something to celebrate, and I think that makes life really feel good. Like to have things that you look forward to, even if it's not a special event, you're just going to go to a shrine that's a little bit away from your house. To be excited for that, that's a really special thing.
Yes, totally.
Yeah, I do agree with that. It's like you have a lot of things to celebrate every day. In our neighborhood, we have this little shrine, and we say, you just go there and you feel good about that. Yeah. You watch the sunset, and to be honest, from that little shrine, we can see Fujisan from that. We say, oh my God, it's mind blowing every time. I've been there like a million times. It just like mesmerizing every time.
Especially coming from a community so I'm from Fairbanks, Alaska. It's a small city. I think Fairbanks has a lot to offer. If you live there, you can find the thing that's to be excited about, but people just actively won't. And that for me is really frustrating because it's like, so you're choosing to be miserable, and I know it's not that simple, but you're choosing to not enjoy anything. Whereas here, it feels like people are always choosing to find something to be excited about. So I do think that's a really nice thing about Japan is no matter where you are, there's X thing that you're excited about, whether it's a huge thing, like a really special shrine or a really special temple, or it's just like some nice flowers that bloom in the spring. That's something cool.
Yeah, it just reminded me of like, like when you walk in the neighborhood, most neighborhoods have this kind of like community garden kind of thing. There are people who are taking care of that, and they actually enjoying that. They're volunteering for that. I love that thing.
I do.
Yeah, they're great. Like, yeah.
I know you're very into your flowers and your gardening and stuff. What's your favorite season and your favorite flower for both of you?
For me, summer's great. I'm coming from a cold place. I love the humidity. I love being able to go to the beach. I know people don't love Tokyo, or I guess I should say Kanagawa beaches, but honestly, they're quite nice. You got the beach there. You got an ocean. You can go swimming. You can have a drink on the beach. There's not a lot to complain about when you're drinking in the sun. And so I really like that about it. My flower is related to summer, kind of. I've never seen it in Japan. I'm not saying it's not there, but Lily of the Valley is my favorite. It was my mother's favorite. We had this bath wash that was Lily of the Valley scented, so every time I smell it, I get immediately taken back to my childhood. It's not the most beautiful flower. It's a little bit simple in a way, but it's very classic, and the scent is really special.
Yeah. Okay, for my favorite seasons, maybe spring.
Spring.
Yeah, I hate spring at the same time as well. I do hate it. It gives me really bad allergy every freaking year. But like, it's so blooming. It's just the beginning of something new. Like all these trees are from the previous years, right? They are not reborn. They are there. They bloom again.
Yeah.
We can do the same thing too. Right? So like that's what I feel. It's like it gives me hope. In spring, it's like you feel hopeful. It's great. It's just a new beginning. And about the flowers that I like, apricot flower is my favorite because it has this very like deep reddish kind of flowers, like bring a new circle around. Like because it's the flower of the Lunar New Year. To me,
I see.
Sakura is great. I love it. I do love it. I love the community sense of it. But the apricot thing was like you just look at that and was like it's another round of the circle.
Mm-hmm.
You're going through that, and you feel like I'm going to do better.
That's nice.
Right. That's the feeling that I have all the time when I see an apricot like blossom.
I feel that. Like,
Yeah.
I do think Sakura is definitely very beautiful, but I feel like plum blossoms, the ume blossoms, are underrated. They're so deeply colored. I mean, I know there are white ones too, but the deep pink ones are so lovely. And I never really hear people getting excited about that. When we went to Kyoto, I learned that, like that was a sign of the royal family. And it's like, yeah, those are such a decadent flower. They have they really have a regality to it. So I get that. And February is really nice because it's cold. So you're cold, but you got that little bit of hope. You see these beautiful, really deeply pink flowers and you're like, love it.
Yeah. Well, that was a very lovely story. And jumping around a little bit, I'd like to know, you mentioned earlier about the shrines and things. How do you feel when you go there? Is it kind of different to the religions that you're used to? Do you even see it as a religion, or is it just a nice energy? Please share your thoughts. If that's not...
I see it as another religion that is not mine. Okay. It's very different from the Buddhism in Vietnam. So it is quite different. I think they're a little bit brighter than in color to Vietnam because I'm from the north. So it's kind of you have to be really what is the word? Frugal? When it comes to Buddhism. But in Japan, it's not like that. You have to be extravagant. You go to Nara, that's a huge temple right there.
I see.
Wait, so you think of Japanese temples as being extravagant?
It is. So in Vietnam, it's when you go to the temple, it's really small and frugal. It's we do not accept money here.
Well,
there are many places like that. It's
what about the design? Because with Teresa, her family's from Taiwan originally.
Yeah.
So for her, temples are red. They're very vibrant colors.
Yeah.
And so she thinks that sometimes Japanese temples can be it's different because the colors are more neutral, very earthy tones. They tend to be brown, white.
Yeah.
So is that different from what the temples you see in Vietnam? Are they more extravagant than temples you see in Vietnam? And
what I feel about temple in Vietnam is they tend to be earthy as well, but they're small. So what you want to put in there is the statue. They put a lot of money and effort into the statues instead of the outside, design of the temple. In Japan, Buddhist temples around Japan, they're big. They have huge pillars. We do not. We're just one pillar probably, or just very small. It's fine. It's just a whole other a place, but we pay attention to the statues because we think that's where the soul of the Buddha. So you put more effort into that kind of thing rather than the outer appearance of a temple or pagodas.
When I went to Izuwakamatsu, I went to see all the Kannon Do and the Kannon, And to be honest, you just see a building and you peek inside and maybe you can see a statue, maybe you can't see a statue, but it's not about what you see. And in my religion, it's very gorgeous, beautiful golden statues and stuff. It's very much about this. So it was kind of different to what I saw in these tiny little wooden buildings up in the mountains where no one ever went, but it had that power, it had that connection to nature, which I found, it really struck me as wow, it's so simple but so powerful at the same time.
I was raised Jehovah's Witness, so on my mother's side, their whole thing is that Jesus was a carpenter, and so it's very simple. You can't have anything extravagant because God didn't want you to worship idols. If you had extra money that could be going to building this awesome structure, it should be going to help his people or to help others because that was his ideal. So the structures are generally very simple. My father, on the other hand, was Presbyterian, and they also tended to have a more simple, it wasn't extravagant in any way. But then when I was in middle school, I went to Italy, and we got to go to Rome, and I got to go to the Vatican. And I have to say, whether you like or dislike Catholic religion, the style is really cool. Very immaculate, very beautiful. It is definitely over the top, but it really looks good. And I do think whether you're Catholic or not, you do kind of have a spiritual experience there because it is really, it's the architecture there is such that you are kind of forced to have that experience whether you want to or not. So, coming to Japan Japan, I was kind of surprised to see, especially because I've seen like pictures of like Thai shrines even for Buddhists, and there, there's a lot of gold, there's a lot of colors, very extreme patterns. So I was kind of surprised by the commonality, like very brown, very earthy.
Minimalism.
But I do think that's kind of the Japanese style, is to really make it blend in with the earth, make it so it doesn't, it reflects where it came from. And I do think that there's a beauty to that as well. And so my dad visited recently a couple months ago, and we went to Kiyomizu-dera. And then we actually got the chance to pray there, and we got to go into the Hondo, the main
Hondo.
Structure. Yeah, right, Hondo, right, sorry. Like you can see back there, they have this really ornate wooden structure where they've carved things that have to do with the lore of Buddhism. And that was another time that I had this really kind of like, and it was a rainy day. It was kind of, the lighting was similar to here, but we could kind of hear the rain, and we could smell the incense, and you got to ring the gong. And that was another really spiritual experience for me, where I was just kind of like, that felt nice. So that was a really cool experience for me. I've always been interested in Buddhism, as well as Shintoism, at least from like kind of an academic standpoint. I'm interested to learn more. But that was kind of like the first time where I was like, oh, this had a personal effect on me, whether it's a lifetime one or just in the moment.
Wow, that's so lovely.
That was really, yeah, I want to go back. I 100% want to go back. I want to see it in different seasons. It would be really, I kind of like learned the magic of Kiyomizu that day.
And I think that idea of, you went to Kiyomizu before, and it's sort of like you see it with different eyes. And I feel like in Japan, you don't get bored just because you've been here for like a certain period of time.
Yeah.
You start to see things in a much more deep way. The first year I came here, I didn't see the country with the depth that I see it now.
Yeah.
It's like a multi-dimensional kind of country where you can really explore nature, but explore yourself at the same time.
Everywhere has things that you don't like. Everywhere will, no matter where you are, whether it's Japan, the US, Kazakhstan. You'll find something you don't like. But when you really learn to appreciate that, and you can appreciate the really good things, that's when you know you're appreciating it fully. Because when you just go somewhere and you go, oh, it's just perfect, well, you didn't really take it in then. Because the truth of life is you can't really appreciate something if you don't know that something's bad too. It's when you have that duality that you're like, I'm really in it.
Yeah, how much would you appreciate a thing if it has no flaw? There's nothing to appreciate about it anymore because it's perfect.
If there's no flaws, there's no perfect.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So this has been such an interesting conversation. The last point I'd like to ask you is, you're both really good in Japanese, so I'd like to ask you about any point you'd like to make, philosophical, religious, life in Japan, message to my viewers, anything you like in your Japanese.
God.
Anything you like to say. It can literally be a phrase or anything that you just want to share in this last fleeting moment of this video.
木漏れ日になりましょう。
まあ、皆さんなんか人生は短いですので頑張って、楽しい時間過ごしてくださいね。お願いします。
はい、ありがとうございます。皆さんありがとうございました。時間まで。じゃあね。いいね。ありがとうございます。